let's say I want to create a form. How do I do that?
You can use the action bar for that. Just click on the action bar or press Ctrl-K to activate it. Then type Create and select New Superform. This will create a new app page with a form.
All right, it's done. Okay, so now what can I do?
First things first then. Let's start by giving this form a name and icon. What are you going to use the form for?
This is going to be a payment request form.
That's a good name already.
Okay, done. What now?
Now let's click on Edit and edit the form. Let's go over each option. The form's name is just for building purposes. You can use the same name as the app page. Now, for title, we have two options: title and description. Those are going to appear on the form itself. Type in Submit New Request and use this form to submit a new payment request. As you can see, changes to the form are already going to be reflected on the preview.
Nice. What are those switches for?
If this were an update form, that is, a form to edit a record that already exists in Jestor, you could get this information from the record itself dynamically instead of having a fixed title and description. We won't use these for now.
All right, so moving on, we have cover and logo. I think those are self-explanatory.
Just like with title and description, you could get this dynamically from a record. That would be useful to show the cover of a blog post if you were making a content calendar or something. As of now, let's just remove them and keep things simple.
Okay, so it seems like now I have to select a table?
Yes. Forms feed into a table, which is a database. It's kind of like having a form saving submissions into a spreadsheet. In this case, it's assuming you want to create a new table for this form, but keep in mind we could use a pre-existing table.
Oh, so I can have many different forms all saving things in the same table?
Yes. This can be useful when you want to keep things unified, but have different ways to input data. For example, it makes sense to keep all the payment requests in the same table, but maybe you want to have a form for the HR staff and another different one for the sales team.
Yes, I can see how that can be quite useful. HR should probably be able to link a payment to an employee, but I don't want to give that option to salespeople.
That's exactly it.
Well, but I don't have a payment request table yet, do I?
No, that's why the form defaults to New Table. Now all you have to do is create the necessary fields for it. What do you want in the form?
Oh, I think title, amount, due date, status, and attachments will suffice.
Then click on Create a New Field and create those. The first time you click on it, the platform will create a table for you, and you will stop seeing the sample form. Now everything you do here will affect this newly created table. Also, keep in mind that every table comes with a default title field, so you can use that instead of creating a new one.
Cool. One thing though, how do I make fields mandatory or optional?
Click on the edit icon next to the field. This will open some options. You can make a field read only, which is useful for update forms. Required. And you can also hide a field while keeping a predetermined value.
Why would I need that for?
Well, in this case, you don't want for people to submit a request and say it's already approved, right?
Oh, of course not.
Then you can hide the status field and set a predefined value of new request. That way, when people use this form, it will always go to that status.
Perfect. Well, so I guess I'm done with the fields. What are those form blocks?
They're additional features that are not necessarily fields. You can use those for things like creating sections, embedding videos, paginating the form, and even displaying more than one field per row. For example, select Inline and make it so the blocks are around due date and amount.
Oh, cool. I'll test the rest of those later, but I think they'll be quite handy. So, it seems I'm nearly done, but I can see some other form tools down here. What are they?
Well, form conditionals allow you to change the form dynamically depending on user input. For example, you can make it so due date and amount only appear when the title is showing.
I see.
There are other actions, such as making a field required or optional, and even making it read-only depending on conditions. You can even hide the submit button if you want to.
Understood. What about form responses?
You can set this up so whenever the person submits the form, they get a copy of what was sent.
Oh, that's great for compliance.
Next is Success Page, which is basically a way to set up a custom message or redirect when a person submits the form. For example, you may want to say something like, "We received your request," instead of the default message, or redirect them to your website automatically afterwards.
Okay, and what about update record?
This is used to update a pre-existing record instead of creating a new one. For example, you can set up a form for vendors to update their contact info without creating a new registration.
And the other stuff looks like visual customization, right?
Yeah, you can change colors to match your company's guidelines and change things like how wide rows are.
Well, it seems like I'm done.
Then click on Save.
One thing, how do I make this form public?
Just click on Public App and share it. You'll get a link automatically.
Perfect. Now, how do I test this?
Click on Save, close the panels, and try it.
Okay, it seems to be working. Where are the answers?
You can go to it through the action bar if you know the name of the table, or you can just go back to editing the form and click on Go to Response Table.
Nice. Well, this seems to cover the basics. I'll test it out for a bit and get back to you.